What's going on, everybody? Welcome back. Today we're doing a way too early video talking about the ISO and T4 recommendations for the Bionic Avengers, the Bio Avengers. Just kind of going over what their T4s look like so far, my initial thoughts on what I think will be the best T4s for this team, possibly the best ISO for this team as well. And down the road, once we get this full team unlocked, maybe we get access to them on the playtest server, we can try them out and see what they're going to be like and get a better idea of what their ISO will be. So we're just going to kind of talk about what on paper looks like the best ISOs and best T4s, and later on down there we'll do a more in-depth guide on this. But yeah, this is the new tech raid team. Looks absolutely bonkers on paper. And even their stats are pretty crazy, and we can start by talking about that a little bit. For instance, Hulkbuster now has the #1 health stat in the game, even better than Morgan Le Fay. Imagine that. In terms of damage, you have several top-end characters here with damage. For instance, Iron Man here at #9, tied with Spider-Woman for damage. Deathlock is actually not too far behind, right down here, sitting at 18, tied with Captain Marvel and She-Hulk, Black Panther, Ghost Rider, and Hulk. All have crazy high damage numbers now. Deathlock is there, and then Vision. I thought Vision was going to be a little bit higher. I guess my math was off. Vision's sitting back here about 24, tied with Gambit, Valkyrie, Elsa, America Chavez, or actually a little bit above America Chavez, but very respectable damage there. And then surprisingly, Hulkbuster's just behind him right here at 31. Just behind Silver Surfer, but tied with Abomination, Mighty Thor, Squirrel Girl. So yeah, they've got some pretty good damage on their kits. Viv Vision has the highest armor in the game, but that's also partially due to her passive. We'll talk about that. Also, let's see, down here somewhere, I saw it earlier. Iron Man's pretty good here. Deathlock and Vision all pretty much tied, about 16th in terms of armor. And Hulkbuster, I don't see Hulkbuster up high. Actually, no. Hulkbuster is right behind them. I'm not even looking. Yeah, Hulkbuster is right there with them. So all of them are pretty much top 20 in terms of armor. And that's actually going to go up when you get the Viv Vision passive applied to them, which increases their armor by another 30%. So you're talking about pretty much the same armor as Viv. So they're all going to have crazy high armor. The top armor in the game for all of them, very high damage. In terms of focus, Deathlock has the best focus in the game. Vision's not too far behind here. I believe Viv is right down here at 17, tied with White Tiger, or sorry, a little bit behind White Tiger. But yeah, very good focus on the characters that need the focus. So yeah, their stats are just absolutely bonkers here. Yeah, there's not really much else to say about that. And now we'll just kind of go on to talk about their T4s. I've done a few T4s already, including one I think may be a trap, and we'll kind of talk about that. But one that I definitely went for right away was this ult, or the passive on Vision. On spawn and raids, apply immunity for 2 turns to self and all Bionic Avenger allies. I mean, that's pretty key. Without that, you're not getting immunity for 2 turns on self and Bio Avenger allies. So you're not going to get this right away. Now, some nodes, I believe the boss node has both a Silver Surfer and a Zemo, so this won't really work there, but if you're still in Doom 2, this is going to be really good because there's a lot of, there's calling wings. There is a Silver Surfer early on in that first tech node, but this immunity is going to be really helpful because this will allow them to kind of resist, the heal blocks from Colleen and Surfer, spreading things with Hela. So this immunity, in my opinion, is one of the better T4s to have on this team already for passives. Another T4 that I went for right away is going to be the passive on Iron Man, because this gives a huge crit chance and crit damage boost to both him and Bio Avenger allies. 15% crit chance for him, 10% for Bio Avenger allies, and then 20% crit damage for Iron Man, and 10% crit damage for your Bio Avenger allies. Pretty much, they are running a 40% boost to crit chance at all times in this. Allies gain 10% there, and Bio Avengers get another 10% because they're also tech allies. So there's 20% right there, and then in raids, they get another 20% boost here, 20% boost to crit damage here. So yeah, 40% boost in crit damage for them as well. They're going to do some crazy numbers, and you can see here, running Raider, on Iron Man, 65% crit chance, 190% crit damage. Boy, at that kind of levels, you gotta run Raider on him, and that's exactly what I have here. He does have several chaining and multiple hit attacks. Like, his basic can chain up to 2 targets. His ultimate here, I have not done the T4 on this yet, because I want to test and see how this will do, because, you know, 3 random negative effects instead of all negative effects. We'll see how this plays out in raids, but yeah, ISO Raider on him. This passive T4, very, very important. Really helps get that nice damage boost to the team as well. In terms of this one here, built like Iron, if, yeah, I mean, since you're going to probably have lower stars on your most of your Bio Avengers for a while, this is going to be a good passive to have here on the T4. Once this team's really built up, this doesn't become as important, but if you're fresh on the team, if you're not really wailing on the team, this is going to be a very important T4 because you want to make sure they can survive, especially going into Doom 3. There's a lot of hard-hitting abilities. You want that bonus max health on them. And then finally, here, another very important passive, 30% boosted armor for her and Bio Avenger allies inside of Raid. Gotta have that. That's what I said already. Like, this takes them to number 1 in terms of armor stats for all characters in the game. You really, really want that. Moving back to some of these other characters. With Vision, this is where we really need to test, but I have a feeling this is going to be a T4 you will want at some point, because it goes from a 50% chance to generate ability energy. Or sorry, no, that's his other ability. This one, you do want this because without this, you're not generating any ability energy at all for your Bio Avenger allies. Dive Bomb, it is getting the 1 ability energy for random Viv Vision ally. Now, one thing to note as well is that Vision's speed is 113, and Viv's speed is 107. So it's something, you gotta be a little careful here because you may be tempted to do this, but keep in mind that if you go and use this, like, I'm sorry. Yeah, like, so if you use this on the first turn, and let's go back and look at Viv Visions Kit, because I think there's something here to point out with her kit, especially, is that she has full ability energy on that first turn. So you may be tempted to do this, but on that opening salvo with that special, it's going to kind of go to waste here. Now, as you go through more battles, that may change. That's actually, that will change. So it doesn't, like, on paper, because she's starting out with full ability energy, it doesn't quite look like it's going to do a lot, but as you go through the fights, as you do the more battles in the raids, this will be a little bit better. She has a couple of longer abilities, or long cooldowns, like for instance, her ultimate is a 6-turn cooldown, so, you know, anything you can use to funnel ability energy for her, that Solar Shift is really good because that's where you're flipping all positive or negative effects to positive effects for self and all Bio Avenger allies. So you really do want that one. So, you know, if you can funnel ability energy to her, that's really important, and that's why, you know, the ability energy for random Viv Vision allies is going to be pretty important here. I wouldn't say required, but it is going to be a nice to have one. This one, it's okay. You know, it's chaining to 2 additional targets with his basic here instead of 1, applying offense and bleed to targets. But, you know, considering the amount of other T4s you're probably going to want to sync on this team, that's one I'd put as a lower priority. For Deathlok, his basic could be, very potentially could be a trap in this. In raids, if this character has full ability energy and crits on any of the attacks from his basic, generates 1 ability energy for up to 2 random Bio Avenger allies for not a full energy on start of the turn. So the way this works is that he has to have full ability energy, and he's got a 7-turn cooldown on his ultimate. He's got a 5-turn cooldown on his special. So if you do this, if you do the T4 on the basic, you need to basically throw him in between 2 other Bio Avenger allies who are just funneling ability energy to him and hoping that, you know, he's going to be able to have a decent amount of attacks with this. But also, like, this is going to be one where it's kind of situational because he has to be at full ability energy and crit on these attacks in order to generate 1 ability energy for 2 random Bio Avenger allies. So this one's iffy, and also, like, it's yeah, with how long those cooldowns are, That's one I threw on right away, and then I thought about it, and I was like, ooh, that was probably not a good idea. Maybe as we go into testing, we'll find out that it's nothing to worry about, and it's actually pretty easy, but for now, I'd probably stay away from this. This really feels like a trap T4 for now, but we'll see how it does in testing. Gatling Sweep offense up for 2 turns. That's a pretty good T4. EMP, always generate 1 ability energy to all adjacent Bio Avenger allies instead of a 50% chance. That's a nice one to have, but we'll see how that pans out. And then here, with all the ability energy that's going to be flying around, especially once you fully upgrade this team, this is going to be a pretty good passive, not required by any stretch of the imagination, but 100% bonus damage with this whenever, he gains stacks of charge every time Bio Avengers are generating ability energy, or when they gain ability energy. So once he has 5 stacks of charge, he attacks the most injured enemy for 200% damage and loses 5 charge. Another 100% bonus damage to this. That's pretty good, but by no means required. 100% bonus focus, you don't even need the T4 on that, and that's why he's got one of the best focus stats in the game. Moving over to Iron Man, we already talked about this. Prolonging, this is probably going to be okay. This probably seems like a good T4, but by no means required. Don't need the T4 on his basic, and you really don't need the ultimate T4. You just want that passive T4 for Iron Man. For Hulkbuster, we already talked about his passive. You definitely want that, especially at lower stars for your Bio Avengers. Buster Barrage. This one's actually surprisingly going to fall off when you upgrade him to higher stars, because he's going to have so much more health. It's going to kind of be overkill for this, because he's going to have so much extra max health that the barrier is probably going to overfill on a lot of your Bio Avenger allies. I could be wrong on this, and this actually could be good, but this is something I'm a little worried on, is that if, as you upgrade this team and really get the stars on them, this is probably going to be falling off in power. At low stars, because he's going to be at a lower max health, that means a lot more barrier for your Bio Avengers. So, yeah, I mean, we'll see how this pans out, but for starting out with this team, definitely looks like a really good T4 to have. Piston Slam, it looks okay. The bonus 10% of this character's max health as barrier. It looks pretty good, but I would not say it's required. Maybe a nice to have, but by no means required. And you really don't need the basic T4 here. Moving on finally to Viv Vision, we already talked about it. Her passive, you really want this because of the bonus armor. Solar Strafe, flip all negative effects to positive effects. We'll have to see how things pan out with the immunity going on with Vision. This may overlap quite a bit. Now, of course, when that Zemo and Silver Surfer combo comes into play, this may be a little more important. This is probably more tuned for Doom 3, in my opinion, than it is for Doom 2. I don't really see this having a lot of power in Doom 2 because you have the immunity and because you're already flipping two negative effects to positive effects. This one you may not need. We'll see. Phasing Blast, that's just a boost to your damage, so nice to have, but by no means required. And then in raids, gain an assist from random Vision ally. This is pretty much going to give the offense down / bleed to the enemy target. So it's nice. I wouldn't say it's required. This is something where you could possibly, like, with Skirmisher and like a Skirmisher Striker kind of thing going on. We don't really know what the Striker bonus is for Viv. We're waiting for that stuff to come through. But for now, I would say nice to have, but by no means required. In terms of ISO, I already said Raider on Iron Man. I'm liking the idea of Raider on Vision. Striker, I mean, if he's applying offense down and bleed to the primary target with this, that's not bad. But, I wouldn't, in fact, actually, we can pull it up right now. Vision, yeah, he's applying the offense down and bleed to the targets. Okay, that's not bad for an ISO attack. You definitely don't want to go Striker on Iron Man because there's really not a lot here. He does a lot of damage here already with Unibeam, but because of his high crit chance and crit damage, Raider I think is just going to be a better overall choice for Iron Man there. In terms of Deathlock, this one has been confirmed by the devs. With his bonus attack, but his bonus ISO attack also counts for assist encounters. It does use the ability energy mechanic here with Laser Barrage. So if he is at full ability energy and he does a bonus ISO attack with this, he will be able to pretty much be able to give them all the ability energy. So that one looks pretty good, but again, because you're going to use this for the offense up for 2 turns, and then you've got to basically funnel ability energy into him. You don't have to worry about the ability. In fact, you may not, this may be an emergency ability with his ultimate here for Deathlock because you already have Vision with his special that is going to be applying ability block to the primary tech target for 2 turns. We know Doom is in the tech boss node for Doom 3. So you have a 2-turn ability block with Vision. So I'm not really worried about having to use this one too much. It does a ton of damage, but this feels more like a, oh my gosh, Doom has cleared ability block off himself and he's about to move. We need to nuke him from orbit because this does a ton of damage to protect targets and it applies ability block for 2 turns to attack targets. So if you can put Deathlock between 2 characters and use his Gatling Soup when you need to keep the offense up, and then just funnel ability energy into him, Laser Barrage with the bonus ISO attack with Striker may be worth using. But because he has to have full energy with this, it's dicey. You can't really go wrong with Raider on him because of the bonus crit chance from Iron Man. But I do want to see if Striker is going to be worthwhile using on this character. And we'll do testing as we get the full team and see how this plays out. But Striker could potentially be really good for him. Right now, I like Raider just a little bit better. Skirmisher, you don't really need to worry about the bonus focus there, so there's no need for go for Skirmisher on him. There's no counters or assists for him in this team. The only assists are between Viv and Vision, so I'm not really worried about that. Again, we don't know what the assistant counter info is yet for Viv, so keep an eye out for that. If it is going to apply deflex, then, or if it's going to apply ability energy, Striker could be a really, really good option for this. Like, generating 2 ability energy for random Bionic Avenger ally, like, come on, man. Like, that would be huge into funneling ability energy into Deathlock. That would be massive. We'll see how that plays out. There is at least some decent Raider potential here because she's attacking the primary target and all targets in that row. She is, yeah, I mean, you don't really need the focus on her either because she's going to have plenty of focus through the team, I believe. I got to double check that. What's the stats table? Focus. I'm trying to remember where she is on focus. Yeah, Vision's up there high, so you definitely don't need to worry about focus for him. Viv is, yeah, right here, 17. We were talking about this earlier. Yeah, she's got top 20 Vision, or top 20 focus. So Skirmisher doesn't really need to be a big issue for her. But yeah, if she's going to generate ability energy on her bonus ISO attacks with this, Striker is going to be huge for Viv. And then finally, Hulkbuster. Again, this is one to keep an eye on. He is the slowest character in the Bio Avenger team. So what you can pretty much do is use Raider and maybe some Skirmisher on the team to set up some vulnerable with him. And then if he's going to be able to use this, like using his ultimate here, and then follow up with an ISO attack, and then give himself deflect and defense up at the same time, like, yeah, that's pretty cool. I like that. Now, of course, also you do have this gaining the assist from an Iron Man ally, but considering how much damage Iron Man's going to be doing, I wouldn't really go for Skirmisher on Iron Man. Now, if I remember correctly, you can call... No, you cannot. No, you cannot call an assist from Hulkbuster. Yeah, here it is. Yeah, you can. You can. So, this is something where you could get that Striker Skirmisher combo going, but you have to keep in mind, no defense down with the Striker attack there with Iron Man. So it doesn't really work. There's no defense down calling from the assist here. So I still would not go for Skirmisher on Iron Man, keeping that in mind. But yeah, I mean, Striker on Hulkbuster could be a very good potential here because of the defense up and the deflect with this. If he's going to get that, or even gain the barrier on the bonus ISO attack, that's pretty good. I like that. Yeah, this Striker could be a really good option for Hulkbuster, depending on what we get with that bonus ISO attack. If it's just going to be basic damage, then yeah, you're going to want to go for something else on the team. Obviously, I wouldn't go for Fortifier because there's a lot of barrier already with Hulkbuster. Fortifier is going to just kind of be a waste. But you know, attacking all enemies, you know, some decent Raider synergy there possibly. Let's see, yeah, getting taunt, yeah. So attacking primary adjacent targets there as well as Piston Slam. So there's some pretty good Raider potential with him, if nothing else. Yeah, like right here, this is why you don't want to put Fortifier on him. He's already going to be a full barrier on spawn, so Fortifier's really not going to do a lot, and it's going to be a while before he taunts anyways, because Iron Man's just going to have barrier, and this team's going to have a lot of armor and stuff, and bonus max health. Yeah, I'm not really worried about him having a taunt early on in a fight, unless you really haven't built up your Iron Man at all. But yeah, Raider for him. And yeah, that's really gonna kind of finish up this video. What do you guys think? What are your all's plans for T4s on this team? What are your all's plans for ISO on this team? Do you guys agree with what I said? Do you disagree? Let me know down below. As always, thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. I will see you guys next time.